What up, everybody? Cash Thrower at the Collectible Network. This is Unpacking at the Industry Summit in Vegas, and I'm here with an actual legend in the sports collectible industry. This is Karvin Cheung, now with GTS.
That's right.
Distribution, but you got a long history in this deal. When did you start? Well, before Upper Deck. How did you get to Upper Deck in the 80s?
Well, it started when I was 6 years old.
Okay, well, how'd that happen?
Okay, so when I was 6, this is back in the 70s now, right? And I'm an old man. What happened was that there's these older kids that didn't want trading cards, sports cards. And I'm born and raised in Toronto. And it was like in the middle of winter, you know, one of those one-piece jump ski suits you have.
I was in Miami. I don't know anything about those.
And then the mittens that go all the way through the back, you know, that you're wearing those mittens, right? Not gloves, just mittens.
Yeah.
And these older kids don't want their trading cards. So what they used to do was they call it scrambles. And they take like cards and throw it in the air. And all the young kids, 6 years old, I'm diving into these frozen puddles just to grab a card. And I got an all crease card with one corner mixing, but I go, yes, this is my card.
What was it?
I believe it was a 72 or 72-3 green color in action card with, half the corner missing.
Wow.
And then of course, in the US, they do a lot of card flippings. Back in Canada, we play games like Farthies or Touchies. So you throw a card and you throw it furthest and against the wall.
Yeah, close to the
wall will win.
Yep. Or
knockdown cards, or you have a bunch of cards out and one touches another one, you get to collect those two cards. So these cards are all damaged. In fact, I had cards that I got that were wet and dried up. They're like nice and hard, and just throwing it, you can probably.
Do you have any of those?
I'm sure I do.
Really?
I'm sure I do.
What's your personal collection like right now in numbers, you think?
I have a lot of volume. Nothing that is part of my PC. Yeah. It's just because I acquired so much product over the years.
Yeah.
As a collector, I used to open packs when I was a kid. By the time I was like 12, it was more almost like, kind of shameful to have trading cards. Like kids were like, you collect cards?
Really?
Yeah, they were like, how can you collect cards? Don't you have other things like play the sport instead? And you're like, okay, I can't have cards anymore, right? Yeah. So I got into comic books after that. So I have my comic book stories too. But besides that, I mean, trading cards,
What were your favorite comics to collect?
My favorite comic is always it goes back to, I used to buy Batman and Superman, but when I started collecting, everyone told me X-Men was the comic to buy.
Yeah.
So it's X-Men. I bought my first X-Men, and I realized there's a Canadian on the X-Men team, right? His name is Wolverine. And
I know he's Canadian. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he's Canadian, and he has a take no for an attitude type style. Yeah. He would be killing people. Back in those days, he was almost forced to withdraw himself. He had that feral anger and feral, adamantium claws was perfect. So my first ever comic book that I always wanted growing up was the first appearance of Wolverine, which the first appearance is actually in Hulk 180 is the last panel, but Hulk 181 was the big one with the whole story of Wendigo and Hulk and Wolverine. Yeah. So I traveled all the way I live in the outskirts of Toronto in the suburb. I had to take an 1.5 hour long subway ride to go with a friend to a comic book show.
But you knew it was there?
No, I didn't know.
Oh, you didn't know?
I just looked at the Overstreet price guide and I said, it's $12. $12 is a lot of money back then, right? So we traveled about 2 hours just to go to the place where it's the comic book, show. And I looked everywhere. I couldn't find it. I was like, oh man. And there it was. Like it was taped on a wall, like on the top corner. I said, is that a Hulk 181? The guy goes, yes. I go, how much do you want for it? He goes, $12. I go, you can't do any better. I don't have a lot of funds. He goes, no, 12 is the best I can do. I said, I'll take it. Right. And then of course my friend was kind of jealous that I got this book. So as soon as, and my dad said, oh, I'll pick you up. So he drove downtown to go pick us up, a shorter time coming back home. As soon as I get in the car, my friend goes to my dad, he goes, you know what he did? He just bought a $12 comic book. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah, but you just outed me.
What is that worth right now?
Yeah, but I have an Asian dad. They don't believe in comic books and trading cards. Like whatever my past
What did he think you were doing there? Something
knows?
Else.
Yeah, he's like, it's a comic book. Come on. Yeah. Come on, grow up. Trading cards. Come on, grow up.
So according to him, you've never grown up.
No, I've never grown up. Yeah. I still think of these things like since yesterday. My brain like yesterday that I was there.
That's awesome.
So it's been a long time. I mean, I can't even believe that I'm, someone said, hey, it's great to be, half a century old. I go, that's not really a compliment, But
no, you made it. That is something.
That is something. Yeah.
So, and I don't know the timeline on all your history is really, really awesome. Yeah. And I don't know the timeline on what, what's the chicken and what's the egg here or whatever.
Okay.
But Where did the nickname the Card Father come from?
Well, the Card Father was actually back in 90, I think about 99. And
okay, so Exquisite and the cup is before Card Father.
No, it's after Card Father.
Oh, hard Card Father.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So the Card Father was just, I was on Beckett boards. So message boards now, there's other message boards. Beckett boards aren't that popular anymore.
Yep.
It was the in thing. And I was like, man, what's a good name for me to have? And then one of my friends one of my customers at the time that bought a lot, I goes, you know, it'd be a good name? The Card Father, like the Godfather, right?
Sure.
Card Father. And I was like, yeah, that is a good name. So I'm just
It's
going to put Card Father.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and actually on a different website, I actually had a different nickname, and it was called Don Cardleone. That goes along with the Card Father, right? So instead of Don Corleone, we call it Don Cardleone.
Oh, that's good. It's solid.
So I was into cheesy names already at that time.
Just puns. You're just having fun.
Yeah.
Just having some fun. The one thing I definitely wanted to get into is I really want, there's new people getting into the collectible space every day.
Sure.
And you have such a really interesting, rich past with something that really kind of has changed the game to the point of now things are insane because of numbered cards and one-of-ones and National Treasures boxes with one pack and all this stuff. And that's Exquisite was the first of those, right? And can you tell me about that whole time? You were working at Upper Deck as a kind of a designer, or as the person in charge of what's the word I'm missing?
So product development.
Product development. Yeah,
product development. So
tell me about that, because that's the first really high-end one-box product, right?
Well, previously to Exquisite was Ultimate in basketball. It was $100 a pack. That came out in 2000, 2001. And then with the 0304, it went to $500 for a pack. And it really had more to do with probably who was the rookie class than it was about the product. So there's two things that really happened.
So those packs, how were they? Were they packaged in a box the way that we find something now, like an Obsidian or something? Or was it just the pack, or was it just a box of cards and the packs themselves were $100?
So it's one pack of cards. It's like 4 to 5 cards, and it included like 2 autograph cards, 2 autograph patches, 1 rookie, and 1 veteran or rookie, but it's not part of the rookie set, not part of the base set.
Yep.
And there's also 1 additional jersey card, and also 1 base card. That's all it was. Yeah. Sometimes you would get extra because we would hand pack these and we could put some extra ones in because we had leftover cards. We just put them in and enrich the value for collector. So at $500 per pack, that's what you're getting. But it was the best of the names. Like, you had Michael Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, of course, Carmelo, so all the best names. We even acquired like new contracts at the time for like Patrick Ewing, who's now signing again. We also had guys like Reggie Miller that signed. So it was just a good mix of the top players we can get. At the end of the day, the higher the price point, we felt that you got to deliver the better names, right?
So where did that idea come from? I mean, obviously, so you're saying that these were the first ones, the $100 pack, whatever, but just didn't people in the industry at the time feel that it was insane to put a price point that high? Like, you might get some rich jerk that, has too much money, whatever, but it's not going to work on a grand scale.
Right.
Isn't that what the prevailing thought was?
It took months of convincing the brass to allow this product to exist. And also a lot of the retailers did not even trust this product.
Yep.
So one thing of note is, as a product guy, is really knowing your audience. You got to know your audience. So when you understand the demographics of basketball cards, you would understand it's okay to charge a higher price point as long as it delivers value, right? Because in basketball, it's kind of interesting. It's the extremes. Unlike baseball or hockey or football, it's more extreme than any other sport, where there's like roughly about 20 players and the rookies that deliver a lot of value, and the rest of the guys don't have a ton of value, right? Even like greats like Dave Cowens and Havlicek, James Worthy, they don't deliver the same amount of value as these top 10% players. So what's the best way of having a higher price point? Delivering those top 10% players was key to this product.
And then the cup is the hockey version of it. And this is your Upper Deck at the time, and they're the ones that produce this high-end product.
Right.
And then how quickly did everybody else pick that model up?
Everyone started picking up
immediately, right?
Yeah, well, in about 2 years, we started seeing other card companies doing the higher-end products, because it would just draw in.
This changed the game. This is why we're into $1 million, $4 million cards for a Luka that's 2 years old now.
Right.
That's what's done it. I mean, that's where I thought the Cardfather would come from.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, actually, I changed names and I have a name called the Architect too as well. Because at the end of the day, that's what I did. Like I would create the products, like the kind of like the skeleton of the product, what the vision is, and then have the rest of the team work on it. And it's not just me building the exquisite brand, right? We had like designers, we had project managers, guys who did the checklist, guys that worked on the memorabilia, companies that work with us, like the co-packers. So it is a team effort at the end of the day. But I call myself the Architect for two reasons. One reason is because what I did on trading cards was kind of like an architect to have that vision and a new product come out. But the other one was actually watching The Matrix in the third episode and knowing that the architect was behind the chaos. That it's kind of like self-fulfilling, maybe a little bit too braggish or braggadocious that I'd say, oh, I'm actually the guy, like in The Matrix, controlling the entire world of collecting world, right? So
your idea and your team's idea changed the trajectory of an industry that lost its way for a long period of time, and now is the hottest thing that's ever been. So you're to be congratulated for being a part of that.
Well, I'm so happy to hear that. And at the end of the day, it's about the community and the collectors, right?
Yes.
So if the collectors are happy in terms of what I created in the past, kudos to them. Because really, without them, there would be no exquisite, none of these cards being valued at where they are. And the more and more that we see new people come into the community, be engaging, create new relationships. That's the most important thing we take away from our hobby.
That's what the Collectible Network is about.
Exactly.
Creating those relationships and uplifting everybody. Yeah. Let's do a couple little quick hitty things.
Sure.
Just real quick. Your thoughts on everything that's going on with Fanatics sweeping in and, booting out, for lack of a better term, Topps that has been at it for 70 years and Panini. I mean, these things are going to happen over years, but just your real quick thoughts on everything, this whirlwind that's happened over the last couple months.
It's been a lot. There's been a lot of news going on. I think just, Fanatics has a huge brand. I mean, number one, they're everywhere. All the sites are powered by them, whether it's apparel, souvenirs,
the relationships,
tailgating. And I would say that between, the core group, like, your Michael Rubins, now Josh Luber, Victor, Schaefer, these people are, industry giants and have created great relationships across the world, right? Across all the different leagues, different people, different agencies. Not that saying that, Panini, Topps, Upper Deck, all these companies didn't. They have, parlayed that into now having trading cards. And at the end of the day, we don't know what Fanatics is going to do tomorrow.
Right.
Whether they go on their own, whether they buy someone out, or all this speculation. I tend to not like to speculate on what's going on. I tend to just look at hard facts, and when things are announced, then we know how to look at the future.
Yep.
Right. Because when we speculate, we're just going to spin, and stress out about stuff.
Yep.
And stress out about nothing really, right? So when it becomes fact, then we deal with it afterwards, right? But first things first is that, if you're concerned, build your relationships. Start talking to Fanatics then, build your relationships and look at, your business, not just 2 years from now, 3 years from now, but 5, 6 years from now.
Real quick, 2 or 3 athletes that you think are going to jump over the next 2 or 3 years. Speculate. I'm asking you to speculate. You said you weren't speculating a second ago. I'm asking you to speculate. I mean, because I think that everybody has their own ideas and whatever. So give me 2 or 3 names.
Are you referring to speculate in terms of value, in terms of trading cards? Or you're talking about
value in terms of trading cards.
Okay, so there's a couple of goats or baby goats that I look at. Obviously,
baby goats is probably a great term for it. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Because Patrick Mahomes, everybody knows about that already.
His baby goat, yeah. So my baby goat would be Conor Mcdavid. All right, Connor McDavid on the Edmonton Oilers.
Really?
Yeah. So if you watch,
that's interesting that you went to hockey first.
Yeah, because hockey. Well, if you look at Connor McDavid in his game, it's very similar to, like, obviously his idol was Sidney Crosby. He plays for Edmonton. Obviously, Wayne Gretzky is a name, and if you talk about an athlete that was completely dominant for his time, it's Gretzky.
Oh, absolutely.
By far.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the numbers aren't even close.
I don't know if anybody's ever been more dominant in their sport than he was in his.
Yeah, exactly. So, but if you look at Sidney Crosby and Gretzky, they were not fast skaters. They're not fast skaters. It's just that it seems like the game slows down in their eyes, and they're just one step ahead of everyone else.
Okay.
Connor has that, and Connor's the fastest skater in the league.
Okay.
So that says that, like, his motion is going at 100 miles an hour, and his speed's there, and his talent's there. So yes, the team hasn't done well in the playoffs, but I think as soon as it does,
and he's in the right market.
He's in the right market. Yeah.
Who else?
I'm gonna go outside of all the sports, right? And there's a product that just came on, and I know a lot of people have been it's been a big hot debate. It's F1.
Okay.
Okay. So F1, I believe that Lewis Hamilton is the GOAT of F1.
Sure.
And although he's had cards before, this is the first licensed card that he's ever had by Topps. And in this 1920 Topps Chrome Sapphire, also the Dynasty product.
Yep.
If you look at Lewis Hamilton, I mean, raw cards are selling for roughly about $100 and $110 for the Topps Chrome base.
Really?
Right? And the guy's an 8-time F1 champion.
Yep.
Should he win the championship this year or next year, because he will be racing 2 more years after this year,
yep,
he will have the all-time record for most championship titles. And to buy a card that's $125 for his rookie card, imagine if there was never a LeBron card out at all, and his card just came out and he's $125. That's a huge deal.
That is exactly the kind of information I was looking for. I appreciate it.
Okay.
That's awesome. This is Karvin Cheung. He is the card father. I almost said it wrong. Thank you so much for being on the Collectible Network.
Okay, thank you for your time, and thank you for having me on.